Welcome to the Divorce View Talk Show. Hello, this is Joanie Winberg, divorce mentor and facilitator of how to emotionally and financially survive a divorce. It's always an honor to do this show with my co-host, Rosalind Sedacca. Hello, Roz.
Hi, Joanie. Good to see you again. This is Rosalind Sedacca. I'm a divorce and parenting coach, founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, and author of How Do I Tell the Kids About the Divorce? And we're very excited today about our guest, Casey Hatton, who works with WeVorce, and WeVorce is a wonderful organization that provides a lot of resources for those of you who are contemplating and going through divorce. So, Joanie, why don't you introduce our guest?
Oh, I'd be honored. Our guest today is called Casey Hatton, and she is the director of the programs of WeVorce. So I'm just thrilled that you're here, Casey. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so pleased to be here.
Well, we have an interesting topic. You know, amicable divorce, it's like those two words don't go together. When you say to somebody, we've had a very amicable divorce, they kind of still look at you like, sure, how much later and how, what was it as far as controversy. But we're going to talk today about how to create an amicable divorce. And you've got some great tips and actually 3 tips that can help us. But give us a little bit of background first about yourself and then how WeVorce started.
So WeVorce is a company actually dedicated to really changing our perception of how we divorce as a community, as a country. So what we say is we'll turn any divorce into an amicable one. So we invite couples with conflict, we invite couples with low conflict, couples with complicated issues to come to us so we can help them. WeVorce is started as a startup company in the Silicon Valley of California, and now we're a nationwide business entering
got a kitty there.
Moving out of startup phase and into just national brand phase. So we're dedicated to helping clients really at all phases of the divorce journey work with one another or work in the most peaceful way possible. I direct all of our professional programs at the company. I'm a lawyer by trade. I was just telling Rosalind, a recovering lawyer, as some people would call me. I had a family law practice, and after about 18 months of growing it, I really just felt like my advocacy for my clients might be good, it might be helpful, but I'm not helping them resolve their issues. So what I like to tell people is the traditional legal process takes a couple who's maybe here, marches them over this way apart from each other, takes about 18 months, they spend about $30,000. And then at the end of the process, you come back about right here, and everybody leaves kind of dissatisfied. What we want to do as a company is connect people with professionals and with the right programs to meet them here and congratulate them and say, way to go, and kind of work them over here so that when they leave, they understand how they reach their agreements, they understand how to move forward with their life, and they've done that efficiently and spending a lot less money. That's our hope.
And of course, the big picture is if they are here, then it will be as far as their future with their children, co-parenting. So that's really even the bigger picture.
Yeah, absolutely. And to just provide not a legal service, sorry, but to provide a service for people who are here who don't need to go get that full-blown legal service. That is an oversell, it's overkill. They really can work together to do a lot of this on their own. So we want to honor that and empower those families as well.
It's a very holistic approach because divorce shouldn't be really broken down and categorized, excuse me, when it's involving a whole family with all the people in it. And that's what you're trying to do, is keep that family as intact as possible, especially for the well-being of the kids, right?
Absolutely. All of our processes really put the kids first. We ask all of our families to first start with a foundation building process. That's either a meeting with a professional mediator or it's a segment that you can do on our online program. But we want each couple to start with a digestible meeting to set the stage for their divorce. How are we going to get through this? What are the day-to-day steps we're going to take to do this? Because I think we all know there are stressors during the divorce that make it difficult to talk about the big picture, to talk about the parenting plan, to talk about the distribution of assets and debts. So let's kind of get that day-to-day status quo sorted out with a proper negotiation and then move forward with the actual big picture buckets. What we always ask our families to do then is to create the parenting plan first. We want the main focus of the divorce transition to be creating a really beautiful, supportive parenting plan that's best for your kids.
Would you say that they know how to do that, or do they look for you for advice on that? If they're having conflict and they can't seem to sit down together without arguing, do you guide them through that?
Yeah, we love for those clients to meet with our professionals. We have a group of WeaveWorks certified professionals that include attorney mediators that we call lead architects, and then also parenting architects, who are usually clinical social workers or PhDs who have a real expertise in developing developmentally appropriate parenting plans that really take into account the facets of any couple's relationship with their kids. So, and they're also trained mediators. So. We all really like to welcome very high conflict couples because that's where we can shine and offer an amazing value so that you don't get pulled apart, so you can work through the hard conversation and create something that's good for your kids.
So it sounds like you don't work with litigators then.
Correct. Some of our professionals do have sort of more traditional family law practices on the side. So they'll do some mediation, some collaborative law, some kind of uncontested work that would fall into the litigation category probably, but they're all philosophically aligned that they're always going to look for the most peaceful opportunity for their client.
That's great. So it sounds like you're really screening who you want to have on your team there, for sure, to set the tone. So you talked about foundation, creating that foundation, and that's really just having them first meet with the professionals and talking it through and having the direction of where they're going. Sounds like that's the main idea of your foundation. That was your step number one.
Yeah, we call it a family pride agreement. So you kind of hit on those main day-to-day stressors of divorce. Access to the residence, how are we going to administer expenses while we're negotiating our divorce? Do we need a temporary parenting plan? Does somebody require temporary support in order to move out? A big stressor for divorcing couples is health insurance. Let's talk about there's a fear-based concern. Am I losing my health insurance soon? Let's start talking about that. And then we talk about also other things like communication and confidentiality. So how are we going to communicate during the course of this divorce? Is it acceptable to send that 11 p.m. 5-paragraph email every night, or does that make your spouse not want to negotiate with you? Should we maybe send a weekly text message instead? Do we want to meet at a neutral spot when we communicate? Things like that, just to keep people really on an even keel and have agreements to bounce back to if 3 months down the road we're still negotiating the divorce and you say, the text messages are driving me crazy. We can go back and look at that family pride agreement we created at our foundation building meeting and say, remember a couple months ago you this weekly phone call? Why don't we go back to that? So just recognizing that.
Well, that's excellent, because Roz, I don't, ever hear of anyone really talking about these little things that really cause the conflict through the process, because the emotions are so high to begin with. But this is really great that you're putting it out on the table, and then you've got it documented, so to speak, to say, remember we said no texting at 11 p.m. So I just think this is great.
Yeah, what I love is this is a system, this is a process, and it's not just taking the bits and pieces that so many people get caught up with and having in a divorce, but it's putting it together so that the entire family is feeling supported in every way. And it's very realistic, because it's dealing with what is the day-to-day reality of divorce. So the family coming in may not know it, but you already know ahead. And so you're helping them prevent some of the challenges, or you're helping them address the challenges in advance and give them ideas and tips and strategies of how to overcome some of these things. So with you guiding, it just will make the process more peaceful and smooth for everyone concerned. And every parent needs that relief.
Plus there's something about agreeing to those things that make it stick, I think, because we've all said it out loud and we've agreed to it, where lots of times you go into a divorce, and if these things aren't discussed, and then it's just running wild. But now it's documented, we've all agreed to it, now you can pull it back and say remember. So this is awesome. So that's a very powerful first step of creating that strong foundation. I can see how that can work really, really well. You talked about your second step was co-parenting plans that work for the future. Want to touch upon that, Casey?
Yeah, so after we kind of have those ground rules in place, what we do next is create we call it parenting planning sessions. So families working through our DIY system also do this. Families working with our professionals in a mediated session will also create parenting plans. What I think is sort of the traditional notion of divorce, of going and getting lawyers, is we're just going to hash out days of the week and a holiday schedule and a child support payment and call it a day. And that doesn't really match the reality of parenting and of your children growing and of you growing and life changing. So what we want to have is, first of all, a really great negotiated agreement that everybody gets. So I get how we got here, so that in 18 months when the baseball schedule changes and Wednesday is no longer a convenient pickup day, we can come back to the table and we can work this out, probably without the assistance of a professional at this point, because we know how to do it. So that's part of how we approach those nuts and bolts things. Another big component of the divorce process, though, is about co-parenting communication. So what we like to actually start out with is, how are you going to talk about the kids? What are your dreams for your kids? How can we meet those dreams in this transition? And then, so imagine your marriage is like a business and your divorce is the wind-up process. We're going to wind up all of our accounts, we're going to wind up all of our debts, and we're going to distribute them. But we're still going to then create a new business, which is our co-parenting relationship. How are we going to do that? We like to sort of lightly recommend, and we talk to our clients about parenting board meetings. Do you want to set aside a time, maybe once a week, to have a check-in phone call? Maybe at your exchange day, you can debrief each other. And then let's have time where you sit down, either a phone conference if it's still too raw, or you can sit down at a coffee shop and actually do the long-term planning that parents need to do. What did that semester look like? How is that health condition progressing? What sort of extracurricular activities are we looking for next year? Do we need tutors? And really parenting your children together moving into the future. So that's a big part for us. We want the families to know how to kind of grow with this, and that you're still parenting together. You still are a family.
And do they also pull in, or you have the parents talk about how the children are doing emotionally with this? Because I think we tend to take care of all the necessities, but sometimes we're not being conscious enough of, maybe Johnny or Susie is, acting up. And I always say, well, why are they acting up? Let's tune into them. Something's going on here. They're going off alone. They're whatever. So we really, you help parents tune into the emotional part for kids?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because these sessions are happening in it's a mediated environment. So the professional working with the family is at all times neutral and is there to really guide a conversation. So we'll have that lead architect there, probably an attorney, and then probably a parenting architect as well for families where there's high conflict, developmental needs. We need phased parenting plans. In the mediated session, couples probably are not going to expect guidance and exploration about the child's emotional condition and what's happening and how we fix it. What they can expect is a trained professional to say, I see something going on here. And now we've reached an agreement about what your parenting plan is, but I've heard you now say you're concerned about Johnny's mood the last couple of weeks. I need to make sure that you go and you get you talk to somebody about this. I want you to have a parenting coach for the next couple months. I want that extra support to be actually part of your parenting plan. Do you want to talk about that? It's hard because as neutrals, we can't really suggest.
I know, it's hard.
Yeah, but we do want to, I think we can bring value to the table by kind of bringing light to issues that we see, because we are outsiders and we could say, hey, no one here has called it out, but I've noticed that each time you talk about Johnny, you mention this thing. Let's make sure you're getting enough support and that doesn't get forgotten. And
part of it, too, is the parents, and Roz and I talk about this all the time, about being conscious. And to me, it's such an emotional time, and we're just trying to hang in there and get through this. So, we might not be conscious ourselves, but boy, if we can teach parents to be conscious so that, I just say to parents, bottom line, just like I did, I gave my kids a ton of hugs and kisses, and I might not have been doing the right thing, but I just gave them quality time, and that takes care of a lot, because usually the kids are just reaching out or crying out for time and your time, but it's a hectic time of people's lives. So hopefully we can just connect with the parents to do something simple as spend some time with them and be there.
Yeah, the parenting architect that I work mostly with is a really wonderful woman, Shirlene Elledge. She's based in Boise, Idaho. So we co-mediate virtually like this. And what she always tells the parents is the number one important thing during this really stressful transition is to model resilience, to show your children that it's going to be okay, and that no matter what, at the end of the day, you're there for them as parents. And so what we usually start and end our parenting planning sessions with is really an acknowledgement of appreciation for the fact that they're doing this. This is hard work. It's easy to react. It's easy to be angry. It's easy to then go get a lawyer and just, you want to fight. It's harder to say, I feel that way, but I'm going to sit down and have a couple really, really hard, painful conversations about my future. And I think that deserves congratulations. Like, we all are part of a community, and that contributes to the health and the safety of our community, to know that people are being loving and supportive through this process. So we talk a lot about that. And I get up talking about it with clients.
I think it sounds like, again, because you're in this system, in this process, the parents are more likely to feel safe in doing things together and not butting heads as much, because they're surrounded by people who are talking about the importance of putting the children's needs really first and really considering the well-being of the kids. And so in this environment, it's much less likely for the parents to move into the behaviors we too often see in the headlines, because they're feeling supported and they're both understanding that everyone around them has the family's best interest at heart. So that neutrality is really valuable.
Absolutely. I always say, when in doubt, spend time with your kids, quality time. And I always say to the parent, if you're sitting there with your child, and kids know what's going on, and if you're spending the time with your child physically there, you're there, but you're saying, okay, once I finish here, I got to get on a call, I got to go answer emails, I got to go throw a load of laundry, and you're not present with them. And so I just say, when in doubt, spend quality time with them, and they need it badly. Okay, so number 3, you talked about using technology to lessen stress or that feeling of being overwhelmed. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think it's a really neat thing that we bring to the table. It's really sort of, how do you integrate technology with human nature, and how do you do that for the humans who are experiencing a really stressful moment in their lives? So I think we all have talked to divorcing clients, and for those of us who've been through it ourselves, we remember that feeling of just overwhelmed. What are we doing today? Are we talking about the house? Are we talking about the kids? And that makes it hard to parent. It makes it hard to live your day-to-day life. You just feel, topsy-turvy all over the place. What we want to do firstly is, with this process I've been talking about, digestible, bite-sized steps. And so to Rosalind's point of having this support structure, that's part of it. We're at this 2-hour meeting today. You've got one job and one job only. We're not thinking about the refinance. We're not thinking about who takes the boat. We're talking about the kids, and all of that is going to come secondary to the kids, and we will make that work so that you can support your children emotionally, financially, what have you. And so then we want to add another layer to that process of, really appreciating that in the year 2016, we all need to have access to information. I can log on right now and see how much gas and electricity I use today. Why shouldn't a divorcing client be able to log on and see, here's what's going on in my divorce? So what that means is, if I'm a WeVorce client, I have a roadmap, a customized roadmap of, here are all the meetings I'm going to participate in to get my divorce settlement done. I log into my account, I see all those meetings. I can see, here's the homework I need to do to prepare for that meeting. The homework's going to have thoughtful questions, reading assignments to help give you a breadth of understanding about this issue, help you think about what you want to talk about before you come in the room. You're going to see an agenda of, here's what we're going to talk about at this mediation session. And then, my personal favorite, after the mediation session, during the mediation session, your mediator is helping you capture all of these agreements in real time in a computer. So at the end, you have an agreement in your system. I think those of us have gone through it, and we have clients who call us, Friday night at 7 p.m. I have no idea what's going on. It's because we cannot remember. It's too stressful. Even the most basic things are really hard to grab onto under that amount of stress. So we want our clients to be able to be treated like humans. So I can log in when it's Friday night at 7 and say, I know we came up with a temporary nesting plan for next week, and I have no idea what it is. I'm going to go log on and look at my parenting plan and see what that is.
That's great.
And I like that. Or if you're in a moment of conflict and it's the weekend and we don't know what to do. Well, in our family pride agreement, we said that we're going to talk about this once a week. Let's regroup on Sunday. Let's regroup on Wednesday. So we do all of that. There's a central document repository so that during that financial disclosure process, you can see, did your spouse upload the, W-2 from last year? You can start familiarizing yourself with that information, make it more streamlined and efficient. You can communicate with your team of professionals so that you don't need to go looking through a million strands of emails to figure out, the detail from your last meeting or whatever that was. We just want everything to be cohesive for our clients and feel very structured and supportive.
When you have that, that's very empowering to know I can check out this when I feel like it, when it's convenient for me, and everything is there. There's nothing's hidden. It just is very good feeling to know that you are not, things aren't being done to you or for you. You're part of every facet of the process.
Exactly. And that's really what we also envision for our tandem product, our do-it-yourself settlement agreement. We actually sat down as a company, and our mission statement was we want to empower couples to get started when they want to, connect them to professionals when they want that help or feel that they need it.
Right.
Yeah, we want to make this accessible and supportive for our families.
And it sounds like, too, it's not written in stone, so that if there's an agreement there or something that you all talked about, but it needs to change or you need to revisit it, it can be updated. So it's not like, okay, we said we would regroup now, but all of a sudden, life happens. Kids get sick and somebody's going away, so it helps, to me, that it doesn't look like it's ingrained in stone, and it can be flexible to change and help people.
Yeah, that's exactly the idea. You can sort of road test. It's scary to be told by a judge arbitrarily, here's your new parenting plan, and you just go live it. But if you create a mediated agreement that you then road test for a few weeks and you go back to the drawing board and tweak it, and then you present that to the court, here's our plan, this is what we're doing, that is an empowering circumstance. And that is a circumstance that then 18 months from now you say, we know how to do this, we've got it. We don't need to file anything in court, we can modify this on our own.
So you're seeing people not going to court at all then? They avoid it.
Well, they avoid it. From a legal standpoint, to get that decree, you have to enter the court at some point, file for divorce. Most of our clients are working out the full form of their settlement agreement, though, before they even petition for divorce. Many are.
Yeah.
So it makes it kind of just a stamp of approval and you're out of there, so to speak.
Yeah.
That's
we
great.
want to take that administrative stress away.
Why don't you make sure everyone knows your website again, and when they visit your website, what's there for them?
And do clients have to be based in California to work with you?
Not at all. We are a nationwide company. We welcome all 50 states. When you come to our website, you'll go to wevorce.com. It's just below my name, but it's wevorce.com. When you go there, you'll see sort of a menu of options. We want to honor that shopping phase while you're considering where you are. You'll see free resources. You'll see our professional services, how to connect with that right mediation team, how to get that customized roadmap, and then you'll also see how to get started on your own if that's what you choose to do. We have a million links on the website to schedule welcome calls, to schedule consultations. If you and your spouse are considering maybe a mediated divorce is the right way to do it, you're on the right track. It is the right way to do it. And you can always call us and talk to one of our team members who can give you a little bit of a walkthrough of it. You can do that with your spouse, without. We can do that at separate times and then talk together. We're a high-tech company, but we're high-touch. Like, we are here to serve the individuals who contact our company, and we want to find you the right service and the right team members.
Does it also lead them to people in their local area?
If there's a person in your local area, we will connect you with that person. If there's not, we will do our darndest to find one. But usually we have somebody in the areas where we're getting customer requests from, we'll have somebody nearby. If we have somebody in your state who's not super local, they will offer you a virtual service, and we'll talk to you about that. So you can actually mediate your divorce from the comfort of your own home, which you could do even if you are local.
I know. I think today you can. It's awesome.
Yeah, really nice. And it provides a little bit of a buffer for people where they want to mediate and they want to work it out as best as possible, but sitting in the same room is still really hard. This is a nice environment. I can see your eyes, but I'm not right there with you. So yeah, we will connect you with a divorce certified, wonderful, wonderful professional. Everyone who's with us, although they might have that JD after their name, they're a different species, really empathetic, really warm-hearted, and really interested in just not telling you what to do, but guiding a conversation and helping you come up with resolution.
It sounds awesome.
Guys, what I call the good guys.
Well, Casey, this has been great to have you on the show. It's refreshing, and
thank you so much.
Nice view, and it's a great organization to help spread the word for sure. And thank you so much for being on the show.
I really appreciate the opportunity. It's been wonderful talking with both of you. Have a great evening.
And then, Roz, why don't you take a second and let people know how, sorry, I got a tickle in my throat, how people can get a hold of you or your website and make sure they're clear on that.
Wonderful. I'm founder of the Child-Centered Divorce Network, so if you go to childcentereddivorce.com, you'll find a free ebook on post-divorce parenting, as well as tons of resources for people who happen to be experts in divorce and parenting issues. So we can make sure you're getting the information you need at the point you need it. And I have my ebook on telling kids about divorce and do personal divorce coaching as well. So all of that is at childcentereddivorce.com. And Joanie, what can people find when they contact you?
So go to freshstartafterdivorce.com. I've been working with clients and their attorneys for many, many years, and we have the How to Emotionally and Financially Survive a Divorce. It's a live program, probably the only one that's live. So anyways, we're excited again to have brought you this show today with Casey Hatton, and thanks again, Casey, for being here. And Roz, once again, a joy, and we'll see you all next week. Thanks for joining us.
Bye-bye now.